Hello, I am Anawultus, and welcome back to another episode of Exploring the World with GeoGuessr. So let's see where this adventure takes us today. And road in the middle of nowhere? Let's find out. Yep, road in the middle of nowhere once more, but we are seeing quite a few conifers. But that doesn't tell us too much because there are a lot of conifers in some pretty warm areas of the world. However, looking at the color of the grass, I'd say that there is a possibility that it snows here in the winter. Um, Judging by the appearance of a road, I'd say this is probably somewhere in the United States. However, but wait, that I might actually be wrong because this is a 500 meters. So, on second thought, it's probably not in the United States, which I find interesting. I don't think they do. They have meter signs for roads in the U.S. Or at least I don't think I've seen any. But anyway, this seems to be some sort of area that requires some protection on the sides of a road, and that's probably due to the fact that there's rocks here and not because we're going over a bridge. So that's important to note. But 500 meters until the road narrows. Or at least that's what I thought it said. I probably should have paid a little bit more attention to what that sign was saying. But yeah, again, the reason why I originally thought this was the United States because it has these yellow lines on the center, and you've got the white dotted lines between lanes, and of course a solid white line at the edge, which I do see quite a lot in the United States. But we are seeing kilometers being used here, so that does change the idea here. Now, of course, people are driving on the right side of the road, but I still find it quite interesting that the roads in general are so similar, but the defining distinction here is the measurement system used. Oh, So in my mind, I have a suspicion that this is probably somewhere in Canada, but I don't know what symbol this is. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get a very good resolution to see what symbol that is, but if that is a fleur de lis, we could be in Quebec, because that is what I think it probably is, but it is a little bit blurry for me to say for certain. But let's check in Quebec to see if there are roads that have this. Well, we're not going to be able to see what exactly it is, but 214, 253. Let's check if that is like that. Now, of course, I don't know if it is Quebec, why they'd use the word junction. But junction is very English, so that does rule out France. Because in France, they certainly would not have an English language sign such as that. However, it is something that I think is probable in Quebec. Now, of course, that being said, it is not necessarily Quebec, because I don't know what the symbols are for Canadian roads, but the fact that on the map we are seeing green here is a little bit encouraging. .216, very good. 204, 230 something, 234. So we're looking for 253 or 214. Now, of course, that being said, it is a fair possibility that we are looking in the wrong location. Now, of course, we're seeing that the roads are defined by the map differently in New Brunswick over here. By that I mean they show up as rectangles instead of shields. So this does reinforce my theory that this might be Quebec. Now, of course, finding the exact location is going to be very difficult. But we are seeing a 214 and a 257. 214, 214, 214. There's a 257 and a 253 and a 214 that crosses a 253, which I find very suspicious. Now, I think the way we're going to figure this out is whether or not the junction looks like this. Now, of course, that being said, the map information might also be outdated, so the junction doesn't necessarily have to look like this. But I still am of a strong persuasion that this is Canada because, number one, the roads are very similar to those in the US, but they use a metric system, and the road numbers correspond to the ones that exist in Canada and have a junction in Canada. And this symbol here looks a little bit like a fleur-de-lis to me. So let's take a look. Okay, let's approach. Okay, so far so good. We need to ensure that we are approaching it in the right direction. So there is a curve. Now the question becomes, which side are we on? Are we perhaps over here or somewhere else? So we are in a curve. We could be in a curve over here, but if we were, I think we would have probably seen a road, to be honest, and I don't think I've seen one of this sort. Now, of course, we could be coming in here, but we are not seeing a road come out of here. So I still am not 100% certain of our location. Now, I think it's good to zoom out a bit to get a higher resolution. And the curve is actually quite slight now that I look at it. It is still a possibility that we are on one of these roads. Oh, let's move here. Now, I did see a road sign on the far side. Oh wait, there's one right there. But that was the junction indication, was it not? It's this Share Brook, 1 kilometer. Okay. Now let's. It's not really supermarket. Need to see if there's an airstrip somewhere here. Chemin de l'aéroport. Unfortunately, my ability to speak French is not very capable. My ability is not capable. I don't think that's a very proper way to put it. Why am I saying it that way? But there is an airport, but the name of the airport isn't appearing on the map, which still... Oh, never mind. There it is. We found it. So it is 1 kilometer in that direction, which implies to me that we probably were coming through here. There are some houses on the side of a road. But let's take a look. Okay. Here's going to be the primary indication. Okay. Sherbrooke straight forward. East Angus to the left. Cookshire to the left. So where's East Angus? East Angus is to the left. To the left is East Angus. That is mildly confusing to me, because I thought we were at 214 and 253. But wait a second. Sherbrooke is straightforward. I think we're going to have to re-examine our exact location. But I think the intersection is the ideal place to do this, because that should tell us the roads that we are on here. Okay. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So, east, I think, 215. Straight, I mean, east is 214. Straight is 112. And south is 253. So south is 253. 212 is straight. And 214 is the same direction as 253. Sort of. Not exactly, though. So let's... Okay, this is getting mildly confusing. I need to mathematically think. Which direction is... Okay, straight. So straight would be moving that way, which means we are actually up here. Aha! I didn't think about that. We are actually coming down south from up here. And that explains why 253 is south. It's because, and is in that direction. Because in order to go farther south on the main road, you have to turn to the left, and then you go to south. And you also have to turn to the left to go east. And you have to turn to, well, you have to go straight on this road to go to the Ovest, or the west, or Ovest, depending on which language you're speaking. Because there's different ways. And I am familiar that that is the French word for west. And I can see the fleur-de-lis a little bit more clearly here. It definitely is Quebec. Okay, so now we know that we were coming down from here. So now here comes the hard part. We have to estimate where exactly on this road we started on. So to do that, we're going to have to return to start. And here we see we are around 280 meters from something that is blurred out, unfortunately. And we are around 500 meters from the road narrowing. But I can see the curve down there, and that's this curve. That's there. And we're about 200 meters from here, I suppose. Let's turn around. Is this a faster way to do it? Yeah, it is. It is actually much faster, but it's also a little bit jankier. Okay. So now let's estimate our distance in this direction. So let's get closer to the sign. Let's see if it becomes unblurred. 280 meters, maybe? Just a bit. 280 meters, and we might be seeing some motorcycles. So that's interesting. There's an intersection coming up. And here it is. Here's the intersection. And let's see if we can get into the middle of a road. And we've got an east and a west. And to 12. East and west. Good. Just confirming again. And I believe that this is probably that road. So now, here comes the hard part. We're going to have to guesstimate the distance. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because there's a slope, I don't think it's going to be even. 5. I need to pull back. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and that's where it narrows, isn't it? Yeah, that's where it starts narrowing, but I need to get to the next part. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and this is where the road starts getting a bit more plump as it goes into the curve. And oh boy. Oh no, this is going to be hard, isn't it? Time to reset. Okay, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. This is going to be very difficult. So dividing it in half and saying that it's a 16 implies that there's 8 above and 8 below. And I'm using my fingers here. Dividing that in half again, above the middle, puts 4 and 4. Dividing that in half again puts 6 and 2 from the middle anyway. So I'm thinking we're maybe there. Might be a little bit too close. Unfortunately, it is very difficult to tell, because there is forest, and the forest is a little bit in the way of allowing me to see such things. Okay, so I'm going to have to guess on site as well to make sure that that's a valid guess. You know what? I think that's valid. I do think that that is farther away than the other intersection. So let's go for paint 5,000. Yeah, and I can actually see the difference here. 3 meters. Whoa, I think that's the closest I have ever seen it before. And I thought, as I was doing the clicks of estimation, I was thinking, yeah, this is so uneven. But you know what? It ended up being close enough. Close enough for me to make the estimate. Anyway, so 3 meters, 3.3 yards, which, whoa. That's less than twice my height. Could, you know, an Olympic jumper can jump that distance. But how far do we need to be for it to not be very apparent? I could still see that. Yeah, I have to be around this far away for that to not be apparent at all. But overall, that's spot on. The best I've ever seen it. Whoa. I don't think I've ever done any better than that. Well, except for maybe on the famous places, I may have gotten some that are even closer than that. I didn't really start checking the actual distance until I started doing the single location. But whoa, 3 meters is, if you consider just how long this stretch of road is, that is quite close. I mean, look at that. That is close. Whew. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I think that's possibly some of the best work I've ever done. And tell me what you thought in the comments below. And I will be seeing you all next time. And I will toss over and out.